Ladies and gents, boys and girls, happy Tuesday. Hope you're all doing well. Tuesday, January the 17th, 2023. What's going on? I see Hunter Kelly, John Edward, Let There Be Slam, Joey 80, Travie, Bruin Nation. What's going on? Also, those in the Big Cock Club Discord. Head over to the TDC Questions channel. The TDC Questions channel. Be sure your questions are answered there. Again, we got a lot to get into. Welcome to the Daily Crow. Of course, as always, I'm Chris Phillips, your host of TDC, of the Spurs Up Show. We're taking your questions, your comments, your calls. 843-790-3377. Excuse me, that's 843-790-3377. Of course, as you can tell by my attire today, 1 month until opening day exactly. The countdown has begun. Really, really excited. Also, of course, it's game day for South Carolina men's basketball. Gamecocks taking on the Ole Miss Rebels. Really exciting day. I see my guy Tucker. What's up, Rip? The Rippers down in Savannah enjoying their Tuesday. You guys back at it in the office, I assume. I don't know if you guys had MLK off or not. It's funny. I'm in a Snapchat group with Tucker and my guy Nick and the Rippers and everything. Ghoul Team 6. I never know what's going on in that Snapchat group. I'll be honest with you. It gets absolutely flooded with messages, and I got to be honest with you, Tuck, and I don't know if this is going to break you guys' hearts, but I just kind of glance at it, and I don't pay much attention because I can't even keep up what's going on. Either way, DGD, what's up? Jimmy Clark, appreciate you tuning in, man. Again, we got a lot to get into, taking your questions, comments, calls. Before we really get rolling, of course, as always, I want to tell you, TDC brought to you by our friends over at Prize Picks. Go download the Prize Picks app or go to prizepicks.com. When you do, use the promo code TSUS to receive a 100% deposit match up to $100. Guys, you can play anything and everything, college sports, pro sports, anything and everything in between. They've got it, and so many fans and listeners of the Daily Crow and of the Spurs Up Show have made tons of money with our friends at Prize Picks. Again, go download the app or go to prizepicks.com. Use the promo code TSUS at sign up to receive a 100% deposit match up to $100. Be sure to check them out and tell them that Chris from the Spurs Up Show sent you. Garrett H says, sorry, I'm late. What is the Jeff Coates situation? Does this mean we're not getting him? Per sources, or based off the message board boys, our good friend J.C. Sherbert, of course, being one of them. At first, it was thought of as just purely academics, I guess. Now they're starting to say it some things off the field, which if it's off the field, they're not going to go into detail, guys. They're not going to tell you exactly if it's like legal troubles or something happened at Mizzou or what's going on, if it's NIL, what have you. So, but it is not. It's sounding like South Carolina is not going to land Trajan Jeffcoat, which sucks because he would have been a great addition, would have addressed a position of need, but, stuff happens. So I would assume South Carolina will go back into the transfer portal and look for another capable edge player. Let's see. I have somebody text in. I have a buddy who teaches and coaches at West Florence. Beamer and Loggins are there doing a recruiting visit for a non-offensive player. I guess that speaks for what Beamer thinks of Loggins as a recruiter. There you go. Yeah, I mean, I would hope he wouldn't hire him on staff if he didn't think he was a good recruiter. So, Hunter Kelly, who could this welcome home be? Yeah, Shane Beamer late last night with the welcome home. It is sounding like it is a transfer portal player. And then, of course, Justin Stepp early this morning with the tweet regarding New York, sounding like it's another transfer portal. So I think a pair of transfer portal guys that will be coming into South Carolina. So we shall see. Again, guys, though, I'm really excited. It is 1 month until opening day. Very, very pumped. Of course, football never stops, never sleeps. We love that. Basketball season, we're in the thick of it. But as you all know, man, I'm a baseball guy. I'm a baseball guy through and through, and I absolutely cannot wait. I'm running a little behind schedule today in regards to, of course, we dropped our Beamer Rattler 23 merch yesterday. Would love to hear you guys' thoughts, your feedback, how you feeling about the merchandise. Of course, it is available at tsus.store. Be sure to check it out. Before you know it, you're going to see me rocking it because I haven't even gotten mine yet. So really excited for that. Also, though, guys, I am very, very pumped. We are going to be re-releasing basically all of the baseball merch that is currently on our store. I'm going to be ripping I'm going to be ripping a lot of the baseball merch off of our store, a lot of the variants, and re-releasing them under some new variants. So, for example, which I have not worn this shirt in forever, but it says the road to Omaha runs through Columbia with this picture or this drawing of Founders Park. Going to be releasing stuff like this, the Yardcocks baseball line, Kiss the Rings, Win Anyway, going to redo the Win Anyway line. It's a shame, too, that Mark Kingston, I wish he wasn't to this point such a slapdick. Like I'm hoping we win 50 games this year and we're all singing Mark Kingston's praises, because you guys might recall going into the 2020 season, or excuse me, the 2019 season, had an incredible piece that I dropped around Mark Kingston, said "Hail to the King," right? And it was like a drawing of Mark Kingston, and it was in the Game of Thrones font. Such a cool shirt, but I'm like, I feel weird wearing that now, because I'm like, we were calling for his job last season, right? We were calling for his job. Joey 80, I just published the link. It's tsus.store. Very, very simple. But we got a ton of great baseball merch. I really feel like the baseball, we got the merch as well. I feel like there's a lot of great merch that's honestly slept on. I really do. And I'm actually, the wheels are turning right now to release more. You guys see the hat, right? You can't tell what's on the hat, can you? Well, this is our Rowdy Roosters line. I'm actually going to be redoing that as well, because the Rowdy Roosters, that's what we nicknamed the student section and the hecklers at Founders Park. And unfortunately, last year when you're as bad as we were, the Rowdy Roosters, they really had no chance to have their presence felt at any point last season. But I would like to think the Rowdy Roosters will return this year. And, of course, which means the merchandise will return, the graphics. We've also got a Twitter account, Rowdy Roosters. It's funny. There's so many people that follow that account that absolutely hate my guts that I think they have no idea that I'm the one behind that account. It's kind of funny. Either way, though, I'm going to be reinventing the Rowdy Roosters logo, if you will, this cursive. As much as I like it, it's just really hard to read, in my opinion. So we're going to do something a little bit more simple, a little bit more basic, but something to the point. We're going to keep the chicken logo with the bats crossing in the background. Really, really fun stuff. Again, I get excited for it, guys. I mean, I love it. I've loved Carolina baseball since I was a kid, and the fact that I get to cover it now, 2021, right? 2021 was the first season in which, I got to cover it start to finish, living in Columbia, right? And having a full season uninterrupted, right? Because 2020 COVID hit. And it's just something I always look forward to. Last year, as tough as the season was, it was hard to follow along. Let's call it for what it is. It was really, really hard to follow along. And I mean, towards the end of the season, I'll be honest, guys, I was playing golf and hanging out and, kind of just keeping one eye on the baseball team. But to be fair, I was there in person when, we lost to Xavier and we lost to PC and we lost a couple of these other games. So, yeah, it was absolutely brutal. But, very excited for this season. D1Baseball.com has dropped their preseason top 25. They've got the Gamecocks ranked 23rd. I think D1 baseball is very high on South Carolina, and they kind of look at us and think that potentially we could be kind of the Texas A&M of last year. And what I mean by that, if you do not follow college baseball or SEC baseball or what have you closely, Texas A&M last year was a team that loaded up in the transfer portal. They were terrible in 2021, right? Schlossnagle comes in, they load up through the transfer portal, and all of a sudden they go from a 9-21 or something like that SEC team to making it to Omaha. They're a national seed. So I think D1 baseball believes that South Carolina can follow that same path because of the big bashers they've added, the way they've bolstered their lineup in the transfer portal, a lot of veteran guys. Of course, we're continuing the position unit preview stuff on Thursday. We'll get into relievers. And then, of course, starting next week, we'll start going around the diamond. But the pitching is going to be elite. I mean, the pitching's elite, no doubt in my mind, guys. You stay healthy on the mound, the Gamecocks are going to have one of the top 3 or 4 starting rotations and one of the top 3 or 4 pitching staffs, I should say, in the entire conference. And the SEC is the by far, it's crazy. I mean, the SEC in football is the best, right? We all agree. The SEC in baseball, it's like another level, dude. It's another level. I mean, because there are practically no bad teams. Like it's crazy. Anyways, though, the pitching staff's going to be elite. You're going to have a top 3 or 4 in the conference pitching. If you can swing it, if you can be productive swinging it, this team could realistically go to Omaha. Really, truly. Brendan M. in the Yardcocks channel, he posts a tweet from Ryan Broninger, which I'm not exactly sure who this is. I'm sure he's an A&M guy. But he posts A&M's schedule, and you look at A&M's schedule, their first 3 SEC series against number 1 LSU in College Station. The following weekend, they are at number 2 Tennessee, and then the following weekend, they host the 4th-ranked Ole Miss Rebels. Within that stretch, they also have midweeks against Rice, Texas, and Texas State. So Texas A&M, but Texas A&M's ranked 5th. I mean, they host 2 of the 3 at home. So, I mean, while it is brutal, I mean, it's the SEC, man, and the West is crazy. The West is crazy. You know, of course. Oh, where did I go? Somebody said, "Where did I go?" The camera was turned off. I apologize. I don't know what just happened. Anyway, C said, "Where'd he go?" Anyways, here I am. I don't know how long I was going. Yeah, I'm dependent on you guys because what my setup normally or my setup always is I have the comments on the right and I have the Discord on the left. So I'm not actually looking at myself. So if I go off the screen, I don't notice that. Anyways, though, when you look at the question, I don't know when I was cut off, but the question was, what's the difference, right, between the hype around this year's baseball team and last year's baseball team, right? Well, you've added a ton of new faces, right? Not just on the mound, but let's focus specifically on the swinging the stick, right? Your hitters, your position players. I mean, you've added a ton of new guys, right? Will McGillis, Dylan Brewer from Clem Sucks, Caleb Denny, Jacob Compton, Will Tippett. And again, these are going to be a lot of names. You're not even going to know who I'm talking about, right? You're not even going to know who I'm talking about. Ethan Petrie, really talented freshman. Jonathan French. And I'm just going down the roster myself, guys, honestly. Connor Furham. Yeah. So Gavin Casas, he's going to be a big-time guy. Kevin Madden's back. And then you look at the coaching staff. I mean, it's a completely new look coaching staff, right? With Monty Lee taking over. Of course, Justin Parker is back as pitching coach. But, you know, Kaye being out, Lee being in. Scott Wingo also returns. But, I will say these guys, you know, they did not just sit around. Mark Kingston didn't just sit around and hope and pray things got better. I mean, it's a completely okay, I was going for 20 seconds. No, it's just a completely new look team. Cade says, is Stone Blanton playing baseball? As far as I understood, his plan was to do so. So I don't know if he's just not listed on the roster or what the plan for him is. I'd love to see him play because the guy was, you know, highly, highly sought after and highly thought of by Perfect Game and all the scouting services. And I mean, really, there are people that thought that he might be even a better baseball player than a football player. So, you know, I'm sure that's something Kingston and Shane Beamer are working out. You know, we're all excited for what he's going to do at the linebacker position, but I'd love to see Stone Blanton on the diamond. I mean, big time basher. I think a lot of it's going to depend on, you know, what would his playing time look like. I think a lot of that probably is dependent as well. But yeah, it'll be interesting to see. So, anyways, guys, 843-790-3377. Again, I'm really excited. But Travis Allen, you know, you say what's the difference, right? What's the difference? And I will say this. It is a new look ball club. That's the first thing. I mean, the players are different. You add Monty Lee. There's a lot of different pieces on this team compared to last year. The lineup is going to be practically a new look lineup. The only guys that are back that are going to be from last year that I think are going to be significant impact guys. Braylon Wimmer is going to be a starter. I think Braswell probably will start, although there's competition, right? Because from what we've heard, Wimmer's going to play short. Braswell will play third, right? So there's going to be competition there, but I think Wimmer, Braswell, I think Talmadge Lecroy behind the plate. I think he might be your opening day catcher. Again, that's a wide open battle with Jonathan French, Cole Messina. You finally have competitive depth at the catcher spot for the first time in forever. So I think Lecroy will be an impact guy from last year. I think Evan Stone out in center field. Again, that's a competition, but I think Stone's going to play a lot. I think Carson Horn from last year, he's going to play a good bit out in the outfield. Again, competition there as well, though. Not guaranteed he'll be a starter. I think Kevin Madden, it'll be interesting. He was not great last year, but I think Kevin Madden will certainly factor in as well. Where does he factor in? Is it DH? Is it because I think Casas is your first baseman? Is it at DH? I have no idea, where exactly, how much he'll play. But, outside of that, it's a pretty new look team. You're going to have – there's going to be 4 or 5 bats in the opening day lineup that you've never heard of. Just straight up. Guys that even I'm pretty unfamiliar with because I'm not in Columbia anymore and I wasn't at all the fall inter squads. And, I'm really starting to do my digging. That's one of the reasons, guys, I love the position unit previews, not just for baseball, but football as well, because I get to learn about the roster, right? As we break it down, I learn more about the roster, right? So, yeah, and so you factor that in, right? You factor that in. The other reason, though, is this, and I even knew this. I even knew this at the end of last season, right? That, I don't know, guys. Maybe I have this delusional sense of thinking. I'm sure a guy like Austin Greer will be quick to chime in, or some others. Maybe I'm a bit delusional, but I still hold Gamecock baseball in very high regard, in the sense that the beautiful thing about the Yardcocks is this, and women's basketball is in this category as well. But of the men's sports, baseball is the one sport where year in, year out, I come into the season and say, if this breaks right or that breaks right, like we realistically can compete for and win a national championship. It can happen. It really can happen. Because we've got the talent, we've got the facilities, we've got the history. Like there's nothing going against us. We have done it before. And so I still look at Carolina baseball as one of the elite programs in the country. And I understand other programs have gotten better, and some might scoff and look at me, but like just because of the last couple of seasons, I still view like the Carolina baseball I grew up with and I know and love is elite. Like we're a top 25 team. That's an afterthought. That's an afterthought. Hosting a regional, it's a given. Like the goal is Omaha every single year. The goal is Omaha. The goal doesn't change. We recruit well every single year. We play in one of the best ballparks, if not the best ballpark in college baseball. We're in the best conference in college baseball. And so the expectations, they're very clear cut. It's Omaha or bust for Carolina every single year. Now, again, as we come into this season and you go season to season, obviously, you have to look at things realistically. And, okay, these are guys you lost and these are guys you have coming back. And so, you can't judge your program like, well, if we don't make Omaha every single year, we just got to fire everybody. I'm not saying operate that way, but Omaha and winning the national championship for Carolina baseball, that's the goal. You don't walk into Founders Park with expectations less than winning the national title. That's what it is. And that is the one men's sport where that is the expectation. Because none of the others have that. It's no knock on them. Obviously, we know what basketball is. In football, you're just fighting such an uphill climb and an uphill battle. And baseball is one of those games, guys, we see it all the time, right? And it's one of the reasons I love baseball. It's such a skill game. Football is about size, about speed, about brute strength. And so, a Coastal Carolina will never win the national championship in football. They'll never win Appalachian State. They'll never win the national championship in football, right? They just don't have the pure size and strength and players to go up against Alabama or Georgia. They'll never do that. Baseball's not like that. It could be our year. You know what I mean? It could be our year. So that's what I love about it. And of course, the Yardcocks with the great history, the tradition. And, that's what infuriated me so much last year. And you guys might recall, I know many of you have reached out and say, Chris, that podcast you did after the Citadel loss last year was the most legendary podcast or one of the most legendary shows we've ever done. And that was just pure, raw, unfiltered emotion. You know what I mean? Because I just felt like and have felt like to this point under Mark Kingston that standard's been lost a little bit. And that was the theme last year, unfortunately, that the standard did get lost because the standard for Carolina baseball is not, let's go 34 and 28 and let's just sneak into a regional. No, dude, it's winning 40 plus games. Like the expectation should be to win 40 plus games, host a regional, go to the Supers, go to Omaha. That's what we do. That's just what look at the right field wall, like all the tradition, all the history. So anyways, I'm fired up, guys. I'm excited for it. But if you really want to know, Travis Allen, like why I come into like it's I don't know. It's just different, right? With baseball, it's just different. Like because personnel in football, for example, is just so glaring. It's so glaring, right? Based off size, speed. Like in baseball, great players go play D2. There's great players that go play D3. Football's just not that way, man. And I'm not trying to knock anybody or anything like that, but it's like football, like it's just different. It's a lot different. I think we can all agree. Arthur Bear says, what must Kingston do to keep his job? Super regional appearance. I think so. Because you think of the scenarios that must take place or that will take place if we don't make the Supers. It'll be one of three scenarios, all three of which I don't think will be good enough for him, nor should they be good enough for him to be retained. The first is we missed the postseason. He's gone. I mean, it's just not even debatable. He's gone. The second is we're a 2 or 3 seed in a regional somewhere. We got to hit the road and we lose. I still say he should be gone. The third option, maybe the worst, is that we host a regional and we lose. That might be the worst case scenario of them all. Because if you host a regional at Founders Park, you should win. Like, there's just no discussion, no debate. Absolutely. So, Bruin Nation says we should be in the Supers 3 out of 4 years and 1 to 2 trips to Omaha every go-round. Well, Bruin, I tell you what, 3 out of 4 years going to the Supers. That is. There are a few teams that are doing that. That's the best of the best. I think realistic expectations for Carolina baseball are what they should be. You should make the postseason 9 out of 10. Well, let's over the course of a decade. Over the course of the decade, realistic expectations for South Carolina baseball are as follows. Over the course of a decade, at minimum 9 out of 10 years, you should make the postseason. Making the postseason, being one of the best 64 teams, that's a given for Carolina. Like if you missed the postseason, it was a disaster year. Flat out. Bottom line, in discussion, right? Most of those years, I'm not going to put a number on it, but out of those 9 out of 10, we'll say, over the course of a decade, most of those years, in my opinion, you should be hosting. You should be hosting, right? I would say realistically 5 out of every 10, 5 or 6 out of every 10 years, you should be going to the Supers. Because if you're hosting a regional, you should be winning said regional. I think that's fair for South Carolina. And then I'll say every 2 to 3 times per decade, which I feel like is extremely conservative, 2 to 3 times per decade, you should be going to Omaha. And then how many national titles do you win? Of course, guys, it's really hard to win a national championship. I'm not going to sit here and say you have to win 1 national title per decade. That's really that's tough to do. It's tough to win 1, right? So I think that's fair, though. At minimum, 9 postseason appearances over the course of a decade. You should be hosting most years, 5 to 6 Supers per decade, and then 2 to 3 College World Series per decade. I think those are fair expectations. Those should be, in my opinion, the minimum expectations for South Carolina baseball. I wonder what those in the college baseball community would think. I really do. Luke RJ. So, Chris, you were acting like you were Ray Tanner. I don't know how I'm doing that, but sure. He says, do you think Ray Tanner looks at Mark Kingston the same way you do? Luke RJ, I think Ray Tanner's got a soft spot for coaches. I think he does. And I guess I get it to a degree because he was a coach. You know, I don't know. Luke RJ, I don't know. I don't know how Ray Tanner looks at Mark Kingston. I don't know. I mean, it's just, you know, there are people, there's been these conspiracy theorist dumbasses on social media that their conspiracy theories that Ray Tanner is purposely, he wants no one to touch his records, and that you know, he's okay with Kingston destroying his program. I mean, I think that's crazy. I think that is the most ridiculous, absurd thing I've ever heard. Right? Like, you know, I think it makes Ray Tanner sick. I think it makes Ray Tanner sick to see the program what it is. So, you know, I don't know. Luke RJ, I don't know. I don't know what Ray Tanner's thinking. I don't. You know, here's the thing. It's interesting, right? Because we maybe I've got a soft spot for Carolina baseball. I'll admit it. I do. I have a little bit of a soft spot because I'm such a baseball guy, right? So it took a lot for me to say fire Kingston. But of course, last year was the year to do so. It was the year. And it also wasn't just because I wanted to or anything. Like, when you start hearing from the best of the best guys who played for South Carolina on the best teams in school history and were part of winning back-to-back national championships, and they start voicing their concerns, that's when you know, right? And that's just something that can't be ignored. But I'll say this, you know, I've seen some people, it's very few, but some will comment and say, you know, I just want Kingston out of there. So I don't care. You know, I'd almost rather us lose so you can get fired. I do not. I'd love Mark Kingston to be here in a decade. I'd love Mark Kingston to somehow be that guy. I'd love for it to happen because I just want to win. I want to win. I want South Carolina baseball to be elite again. I want Carolina baseball to be great again. Like, that's what I want. You know what I mean? That's what we all want. But that's what I want. Tyler Knoll says, Ray got us to the national title game 3 years in a row. It's unfair to expect that, but it's been done, and the standard was set. Supers or bust. Should have never fired Holbrook. Yeah, I mean, Tyler, here's the thing. You can't, and it's unfortunate for Coach Holbrook because, and, you know, I've had Coach Holbrook on my show, friend of the show, really, really fun, you know, really fun conversation. I thought Coach Holbrook, an amazing guy. I really appreciate him taking the time. That was one of the cooler interviews I think I've ever done. But, you know, you never want to be the guy to follow up the legend. And unfortunately for Holbrook, he was. You know what I mean? And so it's, I mean, hell, we were winning 40-plus games, you know what I mean, like every single year practically. And it wasn't good enough. And I understand that, right? But those expectations that Tanner set, you know, guys, you can't expect – you can't expect to go to Omaha every year. You just can't do it. And you look at how good the SEC is – you just can't do it. You can't expect to hit Omaha every year. It's just, but for South Carolina baseball, again, here's what I say. Every single, you know, I mentioned Supers, I mentioned College World Series. If you're going to the postseason and hosting most years, the other goals that I mentioned, they're going to take care of themselves. Because Carolina baseball in the postseason is a different beast. South Carolina baseball in the postseason is a different beast, right? We are. When we get to the postseason, it's a different level of confidence because been here, done that. Been here, done that. Again, to echo what I said earlier, it's one of the reasons I love Carolina baseball so much because, you know, basketball has no expectations. Men's basketball has no expectations. Football, we're trying to break through, but if we win 9 or 10 games, we go to an ice bowl, we had a great year. Would anybody disagree? We had a great year. South Carolina baseball is the only men's sport that has real championship expectations, national championship, because we've done it before, and we've done it in recent memory. That wasn't that long ago. right? And so that's what makes it so fun. High expectations, right? It leads to pressure. Pressure's a privilege. It's a great thing. It's a fun thing. So I'm excited for it, man. I love it. I love it. Yeah, excited to get back out to Founders Park and, just looking at the schedule. And again, of course, we're one month away exactly. The countdown has started. 31 days until first pitch. Somebody commented, who started the Ladd rumors on Twitter last night? Ladd McConkey? I have no idea, bro. I mean, does he come to Carolina? I have no clue. Dude, this is the time of year. We're 1 month from opening day. Basketball stinks. And it's basically a dead period for football. So this is the time, like this next month before baseball gets going, is like peak nonsense. It's peak nonsense on Twitter and on social media in general, but especially Twitter. Twitter is where the nonsense resides. It is peak nonsense season on Twitter. Like, I just feel like what happens, people get that's why you see so much drama, right? Gamecock Twitter drama. That's why you see so much of it take place. Because I feel like I feel like fans, we just, I don't know, people are bored. They're looking for something to do. And some people just wake up and say, who can I go after today? Who can I go after today? Who can we throw shots at today? What nonsense, what craziness can get started today, right? That's why you see a dumbass bracket going nuts on Twitter and people trying to get people canceled and people are buying fake votes. It's ridiculous. It's absurd. But 'tis the season, I guess. 'Tis the season. So, I don't know. Just peak nonsense season. Let's see. Lynn Turner, ask LSU how hard it is to stay elite. They own the 90s. Yeah, and they fell off a bit. I mean, they quote-unquote fell off. But, yeah, they're back, Lynn. Preseason number 1 in the country by D1 Baseball. They picked up Tommy Tanks from NC State. I mean, they're loaded. They're absolutely loaded. Justin Langford, all I want is all major men's sports for us to be consistently top 10 in the nation year in and year out. The key is consistency. Justin, I would ask you this question. How many teams are doing what you just said? How many teams are top 10 in the country consistently year after year after year, baseball, basketball, and football? How many? I would doubt very few, if any at all. It's extremely hard to be peaking in all 3 men's sports at the same time. I hear what you're saying. I hear what you're saying, but yeah, I just, I would not many, Justin. I'd say 0. I would probably think 0, truly. And I'll tell you this. I mean, I hate to say this, and I hope Lamont proves me wrong. I don't think Carolina men's basketball will ever be a top 10 program. I'd be shocked. If it happens, I'll be the first one to say I was wrong. I just don't see. And I mean, listen, I had this take yesterday thinking about it. I'm like, dude, this take would, well, Tucker, you say Bama's not top 10 in baseball. Not even remotely top 10 in baseball. I mean, I think they're preseason top 25, which kind of surprised me, but they're not top 10 in baseball. But this thought process came to me yesterday, and I think many of you would, and I'm going to give you the opportunity to adamantly disagree and tell me that I'm a complete idiot. You guys never hesitate to do that anyways. But I would say this, right? Every school has its thing, right? Every school has its thing. Some schools are baseball schools, some are basketball schools, some are football schools. Maybe we're just not a men's basketball school. I don't know. Let's jump to the phone line.
Call from
Will from Dirty Myrtle.
Will, what's up, man? How are you?
Pretty good. How about you, bro?
I'm doing well. Appreciate you asking. What's going on?
So what's going on with our administrative office not letting the defensive lineman guy in? Are we duped now? Like, what are we doing here? We Vanderbilt?
Well, I tell you, we're going to have JC on Thursday, which I'm sure he'll be able to give us a lot more insight and intel, because what I'm hearing is that maybe the reasoning is not all academics. Maybe it's something off field. I mean, I don't know. I don't know. It's a lot of, per sources stuff, but there's something keeping him from playing. So I don't know exactly what it is, but I do not think Jeff Coat is going to be dressing out in garnet and black anytime soon. I'd be pretty surprised.
You don't hear about that much, you know what I mean? Like, I remember it being a joke about Clowney, how he couldn't hardly pass the ACT or SAT, whatever it was he needed to get in there. But it's just rare you hear that, so it's like kind of jarring a little bit. Normally, as long as you can read and write, you know what I mean? Like, you play football well,
yes. I mean, and this is a guy, we're talking about Jeff Coat. This is a guy that I think he's twice SEC, academic, all academic team, whatever. So from what we've heard, maybe it's not as much academics as it is some off-field situations. So I don't know, man. I don't know. We're kind of left in the dark about it, and we'll see. Again, JC Sherwood, I think, will be able to fill us in a lot more, but just I don't know. I don't know.
I'm already on the side note. I'm already getting hyped up for that spring game, bro.
I'm definitely ready to see when it is. Ready to put it on the calendar for sure, man. It'll be fun.
I wonder how much Rattler's even going to go in that game. I would imagine he probably wouldn't play, but maybe a couple of drives. At this point, it's not like last year. We kind of know what we got with him.
Yeah. Well, I mean, and it's funny, dude. Like, we get so fired up for the spring game, and I'll be fired up too. But I feel like the build up to the spring game is more exciting than the actual spring game. I mean, the spring game, by all accounts, is boring. I mean, it is. I hate to say that, but it is. It is. I mean, it's you're not seeing the starters play a whole lot. It's very conservative. They're not showing anything. I mean, that's fine, right? But it's a glorified practice. It's a glorified scrimmage, which, again, is fine. But, I'm excited too, man. I think Rattler probably plays 2, maybe 3 series, maybe.
Yeah.
So.
But we get to see the new offense, at least a little bit of a look at what it's going to look like. I mean, I don't think it's going to be a lot different, but hopefully it'll be a little bit different. And then also the Newberry kid, I'm kind of excited about him. I think he might be a good player for us, the running back.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, Mario
he might
Anderson.
Be a good player for us.
Yeah, Mario Anderson.
Yeah. I've watched some highlights on him. He looks, obviously it's a different level of football, but he looks like he could be our next, Juice Wells, if you will, from a different division coming up. Just excited though. But yeah, I always break my seasons up in a couple of sections. It's like the first quarter, which is like spring ball and all the news you hear out of that. And then you kind of got your dead period, which is the second period, which is like the summertime is really long. There's not a whole lot of news. And then you got the fall camp, which is the calm before the storm. So it's like, spring ball is like the last little bit of football you get before that dead period. So that's why it's kind of exciting. You know what I mean?
Oh yeah, dude. It's football is that one sport, man, that we could just, you don't even have to have on field things to talk about. I think it's more of the unknown and the projections and the projectability and sort of the daydreaming that excites us all. But that is really what makes football special, right? I mean, it's there's nothing like it. That's for sure.
And one more thing, women's basketball, I know it's not a whole lot to talk about just because they handle their business so well on the court, but man, they're just, kudos to them, dude. They're just so dominant. I watched them play the other day, and our team just looks like a bunch of just tall gazelles out there. Just defense is crazy, and then hopefully we can get another championship, and maybe the rest of the program can kind of look to them as like, this is how you do it. Because Dawn Staley is like the standard for women's college basketball right now. So just kudos to her, man. And I'll hop off over here, man. Listen to you later, bro.
Yeah, Will, I appreciate it, man. Thanks so much for the call. Great stuff, Will from Dirty Myrtle. And yeah, he's right, man. Dawn Staley's team is absolutely crushing right now. So, which is not a surprise, but it certainly should be acknowledged, what they're doing and the great successes they're having. And I mean, it's Dawn's built a monster, right? We all know that. But Dawn Staley, what she's built is yeah, it's incredible. It's absolutely incredible. So, guys, we're going to go ahead and jump into our first break of the day. But on the other side, I want to continue to hear from you more of your questions, your comments, your calls, and more. You're tuned in to the Daily Crow. All right, guys, we're back. Taking your questions, comments, calls as well. 843-790-3377. That's 843-790-3377. Again, guys, I want to say thank you all so much for tuning in. Justin Langford says, Dawn Staley's Women's Gamecocks are what I would like to call consistent. Indeed. Ruin Nation, where did Jalen Daniels end up? I don't know. I DM'd his dad and never heard anything. So, I don't know. I have no idea. No idea. Again, guys, 843-790-3377. Very excited to, again, we're going to be republishing or I don't know what you want to call it, re-releasing, I should say, all of our Gamecocks baseball merch. You know, I really feel like a lot of it slept on. The Yardcocks baseball merch, in my opinion, is fire. Definitely need it for the season. So I will be getting that out by tomorrow, so you guys can go ahead and get it ordered. It takes about 5 to 7 business days to get shipped out and delivered to you. So go ahead and get your merch today if you're going to be at the ballpark or just in regards to baseball season. Be sure to check that out. Again, I will be posting all the links tomorrow when we get that done. I also got more football merchandise on the way. We got tons of great merch, man. I'm really excited for it all. Brian Dean, our first series is against UMass Lowell. So we should be able to get off to a hot start. And I tell you guys this, you look at the non-conference schedule, and I mean, outside of Clem sucks, right? Outside of Clem sucks, you got a 3-game set with UMass Lowell. You got Winthrop that Tuesday. You got Queens that Wednesday. And I love that we're back. And I think there's only like 2 weeks where this is the case. But, you know, for the longest, we did not have Tuesday, Wednesday, back-to-back midweek games. So you've got, anyways, UMass Lowell to start it off. Tuesday against Winthrop, Wednesday against Queens. And you got a 3-game set against Penn on that weekend. Then Tuesday against North Carolina A&T. Then that following weekend, the 3-game set against the Clem Sucks Tigers. Friday in Clem Sucks. Saturday right here in Greenville, Floor Field, which, by the way, I guess they just announced this. I don't know if they just announced it or if they just haven't told anybody yet, but it's on the schedule now as a 1 o'clock first pitch. So it's a 1 o'clock first pitch at Floor Field. And then Sunday, the game at Founders Park will be 1:30 in Columbia. The following week, Tuesday against the Citadel, Wednesday against USC Upstate at Floor Field again. So that'll be a lot of fun. And then that next weekend, Friday through Sunday against Bethune-Cookman. And then that Tuesday, you've got Presbyterian. So in Columbia. So, I mean, you and that's all before SEC play. You start SEC play at Georgia. 3-game set, March 17th, 18th, and 19th in Athens. So, you know, I would just say this. It sets up really well, right? I mean, I think you should. I'd have to go through and count exactly how many that is, but you shouldn't lose, in my opinion, more than 3 or 4 non-conference games. I mean, really, truly. And I mean, guys, it's one of those things, right, where if you win a series, you take 2 out of 3, right? College baseball is so crazy, so random. It's kind of funny. You know, I good buddy of mine, Brad Crawford, right? He comes from the football school of thinking, and it's fun to see people come from the football school of thinking, and because they'll watch baseball and they're like, how can South Carolina lose even a single game to, say, a UMass Lowell or a Bethune-Cookman or this team or that team? And it's baseball, the randomness of baseball. That's why they play so many games, right? But you see it all across college baseball. I guarantee you there will be an SEC team that loses a series that you won't expect them to. We're like, what the hell? You know what I mean? So, but I think taking advantage early on, you know, coming out of non-conference play, swinging a hot stick, I think that's important. I think that needs to happen. You know, most years I'd say, well, you know, it's okay. Like the hitting might start out slow. Nah, man, you need to hit out the jump. You need to hit out the gate. There's no excuse not to be hitting over 300, in my opinion, coming out of non-conference play. Non-conference play is the time where you boost your stats. Non-conference play is the time where you pick on lesser pitching, because when you get to the SEC, you know what you're seeing weekend in, weekend out. So this team needs to hit the ground running. This team needs to come out of the gate hot. This team needs to swing it from the very jump, because as we all know, that is the question mark. Can you swing it? Can you not? Because if you can, you've got a pitching staff to get you deep in postseason play. Can you swing the bats consistently? That is the question, not just of this season, but of the Mark Kingston era as well. And unfortunately, to this point, the answer has been no. So maybe the addition of Monty Lee on your coaching staff, maybe, the emergence of some new guys that'll be inevitably in your lineup. We'll see if that can all come together, but you got to swing the stick out the gate, in my opinion. You got to take advantage of non-conference pitching and set yourself up for success and go into SEC play with maximum confidence. So I think that's extremely important. Anyways, let's get back to your questions because I see Justin Langford with a question mark. Hicks, yeah, James Hicks is back. Brian Dean, Chris, do you think we use Braswell against lesser competition? No, I do not. No. Nope, I don't. I don't think Braswell is going to pitch this year. I don't think we need him to. I think a lot of Braswell pitching last year was out of necessity. I really do. And don't get me wrong, he was good. Don't get me wrong. He was good at times, but no, he needs to focus on being the best possible infielder he can be. Bottom line. He needs to focus on being the best possible infielder he can be. Let's see. Justin Langford says Sanders should be the ace. I agree, and I think he is. He also says Belcher should be good, too. I think you mean Becker, Matthew Becker. Yeah, Becker's going to be filthy. Brian Dean, Will Sanders is the ace. Will Sanders is the ace. Matt says, I'm late. Who's the new welcome home? The rumor, Matt, is it's a transfer portal guy. We do not know for sure quite yet. Jonathan Lee, also, Chris, we've won the national championship in bass fishing at South Carolina, so we think that we should always win in that men's sport, too. Love it. Love it. Go bass fishing. Appreciate the hat from those guys. Fire stuff. Brian Dean, Chris, you need to come watch Charleston, South Carolina play basketball there. 18-1. The only loss is to UNC. Charleston's balling. Brian, I love you, my guy, but when would I go see Charleston play? What am I going to – hey, Gamecock, sorry, guys. I'm taking off from watching our basketball team to go watch Charleston. I hear you. I hear you. No, Charleston's very good. Charleston's very good. Noah Johns, what's up, my guy? Appreciate you tuning in. Jonathan Lee says, Chris, how do you feel about the Clem Sucks series in baseball? Can we get a sweep and win all the main men's sports, football, basketball? Well, even if you win 2 out of 3, Jonathan Lee, you won the series, which means you would have swept all the men's sports. So you don't have to sweep them. It'd be sweet to do it, but you don't have to. That's an important series, though. I tell you, that's an important series as we look ahead. Normally it's one of those things where, we've seen it before, right? That rivalry series, it does not make or break your season. 2010 is a perfect example. The Gamecocks lose 2 of 3 to Clem Sucks, including an embarrassing Sunday loss. It was like 19-6 or something, right? Clem Sucks just kicks your tail, in your home field. You lose 2 of 3. That did not define that season, right? You saw them later in Omaha. You beat them twice when it counted, and you won the national championship. So a non-conference series so early on in the season does not define your season. However, I think for Mark Kingston and company, that is an extremely important series. I almost feel like that series, it's always important, right? That series, to me, that's the best rivalry in all of college baseball, right? It's one of those things where, it has a super regional feel when you go to the games, and it's just you're hanging on every pitch and the emotions and the excitement of it. I really get as into that as I do the football game. Like it's that big of a deal to me. But, again, normally you look at it with perspective. Okay, we lose 2 out of 3, no matter what happens. Like, this does not define our season, good or bad. I think Mark Kingston needs to win the series, though. After getting swept by Clem Sucks last year. That was the first time that's happened since 1997, by the way, that Clem Sucks swept you, right? So you made a lot of bad history last year. But after that, and coming into a year in which he's inevitably on the hot seat, I think taking that series, taking 2 of 3, they got a new coach, a first-year coach, and Eric Bakich, who I think is a fantastic coach. I think Clem Sucks made a great hire. But you got to take advantage of a program in transition. You've also got Monty Lee on your staff. You also took 3 of their players and put them on your roster. That's a huge series. I just think for – that's one of those early series or one of those series early in the year where fans, he needs to win as much good favor as he can with this fan base before SEC play sets in. So that kind of Clem Sucks series, as big as it is, I think it's got even more importance this year. So, I think we got a good shot, though. I mean, I think we got a good shot, man. I think we got a good shot. So, Justin Langford, ready to see how we look against Rocky Top in baseball this season. Well, Justin, that is the final series of the season, right? That is the final series of the season. So, yeah, and it's at Founders Park. That'll be interesting, but we got a long ways to go for that. So, got a long ways to go for that. Let's see. Brian Dean says USC 89, Ole Miss 79 tonight. I've actually got South Carolina winning as well. 64-62. I've got the Gamecocks winning the game. I guess I have not even posted that in the Discord. I apologize, guys. I apologize. Yeah, here we go. Let me get this in here. See if I can. I don't know if it's not going to go from my laptop. Anyways, I do have the Gamecocks getting the dub tonight, taking on Ole Miss. Gamecocks are a 6.5-point underdog, which really goes to show you just how bad we are. So, really goes to show you, because Ole Miss, guys, in case you didn't know, they have not won a conference game, right? Slayer of Queens, Chase says on the TDC Questions channel, swinging it as the offensive line of football. Yeah, I mean, to your point, that is kind of a, you know, it's that thing we talk about every year, right? It's just that thing that we talk about. Travis says, our season didn't make sense last year at all. We beat Texas and Vandy in a series, but couldn't make the postseason. I mean, Travis, again, that's baseball, right? I mean, Travis, think about this. Vanderbilt, I was at that game one. I think it was a Thursday. No, it was a Friday night. We got killed. We got absolutely killed, right? And then we turn around and win the next two games. I mean, riddle me that, Travi. You know? We're also talking about a team last year, Travi, that had like a 9-run lead against Texas A&M and still found a way to lose. So last year was just a nightmare. You know what I mean? And you hope that, you know, you have those seasons. Those seasons, you know, at South Carolina, you shouldn't have those seasons, or they should be extremely rare. But, you know, you hope that that was a one-off, and you hope that, you know, it was just one of those years that everything that could have went wrong did go wrong. But, you know, to me, there's no gray area this year with Mark Kingston. There's just no gray area. You've got talent. There's no question. You're ranked in the like, if you want a testament to the fact that you've got talent, right? After last year, D1 baseball still has you in the preseason top 25. If that don't scream we've got talent, I don't know what does. I don't know what does, right? Like the fact that they're giving us that much respect after the abysmal year we had last year, that's crazy to me. Honestly, it's kind of like, I'm surprised. I'm surprised we're getting that much respect. I really am. But they, you know, again, if you read up on D1 baseball and their coverage of South Carolina, they look at the Gamecocks, I said earlier, you know, a lot like they look at us as like this year's version of Texas A&M, where we've bolstered our ball club through the transfer portal. We've bolstered our ball club through veteran hitters in the transfer portal, and they believe that can make the difference. So also, what impact does Monty Lee have? I think that'll be really interesting. Travis says, who leads us off this year, Chris? Stone, Wimmer, Braswell. Could be one of the new guys also, Travi. I don't think it's Wimmer. I don't think Wimmer's a leadoff. I think Wimmer's a 2-hole, maybe even a 3-hole. But I don't see Wimmer being a 2-hole. Maybe Evan Stone. But we've also got some new guys that I think are fighting for that spot. But I'll tell you this, Travi. You know, it's fun for us. It's fun, right, to project the opening day lineup, and I enjoy doing that. However, I would say that, I mean, if you looked at if I looked at the opening day lineup that I set last year, like the lineup changes so much. Like, unless you're the Gamecocks in like 2011, where it's like you got a bunch of studs coming back and you sort of know, right? very rarely do you go game 1 to game 40 and the lineup is even remotely the same. I mean, there'll be a couple of guys like Wimmer will be in the lineup all year. I mean, I think the only guy I look at that I think is a no doubter in the lineup all season long. I'm thinking right now. The McKinnis kid at second, probably. Wimmer at short. I think catcher, there's going to be a rotation. I think Casas probably at first. I think Gavin Casas at first, the Vandy transfer. I think he's probably going to be in the lineup all year long. I mean, outside of that, dude, I think there's, I think Brewer's probably going to be the lineup a lot, but I think it all depends on how he hits. I really do, because he's got other options. I don't know why Clem Sucks insisted. I mean, the guy's got power. I don't know why they insisted on playing him every game. I mean, the guy hit like 230. I mean, it's there's got to be somebody else who can hit higher than that. So, yeah, I mean, it's tough to project. It really is, but that's a good thing, right? We got a lot of guys who are fighting for spots, and we got a lot of talent. We have a lot of talent. So, Travie, what ended up being our batting average as a team last year? As a team, here, Travie, let's relive this. Overall, we hit 263. That's not in conference play, my guy. That's every game. SEC play, we literally hit like 230, 225. Like we were terrible. We were bad. I mean, your leading returning hitter is Braylon Wimmer, again, who hit 312 last year, 7 homers, 35 RBIs. And again, that was the entire season. Also 13 of 14 stolen bases. So he's a speed guy as well. You got Braswell back, who hit 284, 2 bombs, 27 ribbies. And then Kevin Madden hit 244, 6 homers, 26 RBI. Then it drops off to Talmadge Lecroy, who hit 253, had 11 ribbies. I mean, Carson Hornung hit 209, 2 homers, 11 ribbies. Evan Stone hit 184 as a freshman, 4 RBI. Yeah, so we were not good. we were not good swinging a stick, my guy. We were not good swinging a stick. Brian Dean, what's up with Jeff Coat? They said it's not academics. Brian, I don't know. What did he do off the field? I don't know. I couldn't tell you. I don't know. Austin Greer says, disappointed in this recruiting class, both high school and transfer portal so far. Are you talking for football, Austin? Or are you talking for baseball? Or what sport are you talking about? What sport are you disappointed in the recruiting for? Joey 80, who do you see being the number 2 quarterback on opening day? Who's the number 2 quarterback when we kick it off? I think Luke Doty. Well, I don't know, actually. What does Doty do? If Doty stays, it's him. If he doesn't, I have no idea. Let's jump to the phone lines here.
Call from
Ralph.
Ralph, what's up, man? You're on the air.
Chris, how are you doing today?
I'm doing well. Appreciate you asking. What's going on?
So I know you touched on a little bit yesterday, but on the kind of the OC hire, and was Logan's the guy, or Loggins?
Loggins, yeah.
Name all the time. Yeah, was he the hire that we always wanted, or the team was looking for? I go back to this, man. When Shane Beamer originally got here, who did he hire as a coach? Mike Bobo, right? He then goes to Marcus Satterfield. I don't ever think Garrett Riley, realistically, and not because of anything he's done, I don't ever think that was ever going to be a hire that Beamer was going to pursue. And I know that everybody goes to Oklahoma. Well, he's coaching Oklahoma. It's his brother. Where did he coach at before Oklahoma? Georgia. And I honestly think that's kind of the model he's trying to build this program after, is that model, right? You recruit your ass off. You get the best guys in state to stay home, which is what Georgia has done. Honestly, I think it's part of what Kirby has really brought, why they've kind of elevated the next level. When Rick was there, the best player in Georgia didn't always go to the University of Georgia, right? A lot of times he'd go to Auburn. One time he went to the University of South Carolina. Kenny, look at Penny Miles, or not Kenny Miles. Who the heck was a running back then? Kenny Irons. Mm-hmm. Best player in the state of Georgia, went to South Carolina, right? You have, and I think that's really what Beamer, and I know he said during the press conference, hey, I went to Oklahoma to learn their offensive scheme. He also said something during the same press conference, which was, we're not going to run the Oklahoma offense.
we are going to run the South Carolina offense. We didn't know what the South Carolina offense is. I think after the last 3 games, we kind of know what the South Carolina offense is going to be, which is a up-tempo pro-style offense, which is a lot like the offense they run at Georgia, right? So it's one of those things where I know in everybody's head, I don't ever think Riley was the guy. Because I honestly think if Riley was going to be the guy, he would have hired him when he first got here, right? Where it's just one of those. And again, I just think that what he learned at Georgia had a greater impact than what he learned at Oklahoma. Nothing we have done at South Carolina while he's been there has been similar to anything Garrett across the board has been similar to anything Garrett Riley does outside of potentially recruiting nationally. That's the only thing that I can think of that really has been similar to what he's done in Oklahoma. So when it comes to that, I don't ever think Garrett Riley was realistic ever with that. Maybe he reached out because, again, why the heck wouldn't you, right? At that point, he's obviously one of the best offensive coordinators. But realistically, was it somebody that Shane Beamer was going after? I don't know, man. I think Brian Johnson, who ran a similar scheme, the guy who's now coaches for the Eagles, runs a pro style, kind of up-tempo pro style. Maybe Cohen was in discussion, but I honestly think that, he wanted to run this type of offense. The last 3 games have proven it can work, where that was kind of where his mindset was at. And that's just me. Again, my sources are no one. My sources are literally just what I've seen and what he said,
right,
and kind of what you've seen going along, which is I think that's really kind of been – and also, I don't want to bring this up, but it's kind of the same reason why Muschamp never ran a spread or didn't go up tempo either is if you're going to run a certain defense, you got to be ready for, well, if it doesn't work with a quick strike offense, if you don't strike quick, your defense might be carrying the game. And a lot of what Beaver does, and a lot of what Torian Gray does in terms of the offense and what White does doesn't really fit having an up-tempo offense, especially when, a lot of your opportunities or your risks to create opportunities are going to be based off of special teams and some of your play designs on defense, right? Where if you're doing that up-tempo offense, it's with the mind of getting as many possessions as possible, right? Where, a lot of what Beamer likes to do, and what we've seen is with specifically Rattlers, throw the ball downfield, not this vertical or horizontal passing game where you're going to dink and dunk the whole time and, scheme your way open. Where no, we're going to try to get our best guy open downfield, hit him in one quick strike, right? And it's even kind of go back to when he was here with Spurrier. Spurrier's offense, you spread him out, but it was more of a vertical passing than it ever was horizontal, with a lot of what, these spread offenses do, which is high percentage throw, high percentage throw, high percentage throw, try to line them right, and then maybe get some guy across, but either way, you're controlling the ball, you are moving up tempo, and you're catching a defense potentially in a misalignment, and then you get them right there when they're not aligned right.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, I'm excited to see Logan's offense, and again, I think you raise a lot of great points in regards to, the whole Riley situation, and it's more so a talking point for us. I think Beamer and his presser when Loggins was hired kind of shot down the whole narrative about wanting to go hire the big name guy or whatever. I mean, he got his guy, so we'll see how it works out. And I mean, it would have been, it would have been the same pressure had he gotten Riley. I mean, the offense has just got to work. And I said this during the 2022 season, and I'll stand by it. I mean, Beamer's entire tenure practically is going to be judged off of, could he get the offense going? I mean, that's it. Even if 2-3 years from now we're winning 8 games, if the offense stinks or if it overwhelmingly is just not where it needs to be and we're still struggling and sputtering, because that's what we did most of 2022. I mean, I think we all agree. If that's still the case, even if we're winning 8 games, I think people are going to grow restless because I think South Carolina fans are just so starved for good offense. I mean, really, that's what it comes down to. So he knows that, and we know that, and hopefully Loggins is that guy to help this offense reach its full potential.
And I go back to the point where if I'm sure you have Georgia friends where they kind you kind of have to get acclimated to this thing of like play to your strengths, right? You're gonna need throwing the ball downfield, whatever, but it becomes one of those where if you can build your defense up and your offense can at least score 30, that should be enough for everybody. In the last couple of games, with I'm just going to go ahead and say it, with Freddie Kitchens calling the plays, because I'm in the camp of, you can tell me Marcus Satterfield called plays those last 2 games all you want, but the proof is kind of in the pudding. They were not, Satterfield, I don't know if you saw, had his press conference. We were not sitting in the huddle for 20 minutes, scrambling to the line, pulling the Miami Dolphins from the weekend, where trying to get the play out, where it was not that type of offense, right? You had your plays, you went out there and ran it, and I think that even with a kind of with the Logan Tyler, where people were, well, he failed me. Freddie Kitchens also was not the best in the NFL either, but the one game he did call, he called pretty damn good, and that Notre Dame defense is a solid defense, right? That's Marcus Freeman got the job because he's a great defensive coordinator. The defense they played up against, we didn't win the game, but they gave him everything they wanted and some, right? So it's one of those. I'm not a big moral victory guy, but they showed enough in that game. If that's the direction we're going to keep it in, I think that's a good future to build upon. Again, we don't know. We won't know until a year or two from now, really, how this all shakes out. And the same thing when you mentioned Riley is, and I think you've said this before, most likely Garrett Riley's going to be a head coach, right? It's not a matter of if, but when he's going to be a head coach. So if he did well here, we were probably only going to have him for a year or two. And I know, why do you think he's getting paid 1.7 to go to Clemson, right? They know that too, where it's like, obviously we're not going to pay an offensive coordinator $1.7 million and then re-up him for the next 5 years. I'm sure they probably would, but I know realistically they know this too. He's most likely going to get a next job, most likely in the state of Texas. That's where he wants to be. And I'm sure he just took this as an opportunity to build upon his resume. So when the next, SMU, or I don't think Texas Tech is going to come up anytime soon. Probably not Baylor, but any of those Big 12 jobs does come up, he's most likely going to take it.
Indeed. Yeah, it'll be interesting to see, interesting to follow which of or how the hires work out, I should say, in regards to the offensive coordinators. Yeah. So, my friend, I appreciate the call. Again, you bring up a lot of great points, my man.
All right. Thanks again, man.
Yeah, man. We'll talk soon. Appreciate you. Take care. Great stuff. And again, really great call there. Let's see. Austin Gregory asked the question, would you rather see the Gamecocks allow 22 points per game next year or average 39 points per game? Give me the offense. I would much rather – I like this. This just goes for any team I pull for. But I'd much rather be a fan of a team that was great offensively. Like, I know that defense wins championships, but, I mean, I'm part of the new age fan that I want to see touchdowns and big plays, and nobody wants to watch a 17-14 game. Like, nobody does. I'd rather like the bowl game was fun. It wasn't fun that we lost, but it was a fun game. It was a fun game. So I'd much rather watch a game where we're scoring a lot of points, and I'd much rather be a fan of a team where we're scoring a lot of points. And I think being flashy offensively gives you a shot to build your program and attract more top talent, and people become excited to come play for you because of a high-flying offense. So let's jump to the phone lines.
Call from Bill.
Charleston, what's up, man?
Yeah, well, you've been trying to reach about your car's extended warranty.
I love it. I don't know who that was, but shout out to Charleston. Shout out to the Charleston folks. Anyways, guys, 843-790-3377. It's 843-790-3377. Jay Diz says the Park Avenue scam has killed our recruiting momentum. Tanner and Chance both need to be fired over this dumpster fire. Is Park Avenue still having issues? I don't know. Somebody inform me. Guys, we're going to jump into a quick break. On the other side, I want to continue to hear from you. More of your questions, comments, calls, and more. You're tuned in to the Daily Crow. All right, guys, we're back. Taking your questions, comments, calls as well. 843-790-3377 here on this Tuesday, January the 17th, 2023. Guys, of course, you saw the last slide there in regards to the TSUS tour for this spring. Stay tuned. Details and dates are dropping soon. We will be reconvening with our friends over at Carolina Ale House. I believe tomorrow they're having a meeting, and we're going to start to figure out when exactly the tour will take place. But my plan is beginning in mid-February and running through probably running through the end of March, beginning of April. That would be ideal. I'm already thinking I think it'd be really, really fun to, I'll get you guys the dates when I have them, but maybe we could do, because I'm planning on Thursdays, right? Doing it again. We did it over the summer on Thursdays. I think Thursdays are a good day, right? I know women, we could even do Wednesdays. I don't know, but I think Thursdays will probably work. But, maybe doing, our first date in Columbia the day before opening day. Maybe we could do the Greenville dates, before the Clemsuck series. I don't know. We'll figure that out. But anyways, I will let you guys know all of the dates. Really excited. Also, guys, join the Big Cock Club today. Patreon.com/Big Cock Club to get access to the Big Cock Club Discord, because we'll be watching practically every single baseball game in the Big Cock Club Discord. Of course, guys, with me not living in Columbia anymore, I will not be going to nearly the amount of games I used to go to. I was practically at every game last year. So we'll be watching along. I'll be streaming it. I know I've been leaning on my guy Dalton, which Dalton, I appreciate you, but I need to be able to stream in the Hangout. So I'm going to get the hang of it, figure it out, and I'll be doing all that streaming. Again, I can't guarantee that I'll be streaming every single game, but a lot of them, because, of course, I will be tuned in and locked into all the games. Looking forward to it. Cade, I'm now in Greenville, South Carolina. Greenville. Yes, I'm in the upstate. So, Cade, I've been here since end of July 2022. The amount of people that did not know that is actually a great thing. It's a great thing. I mean, it's literally one of the reasons why I left Columbia, because I wanted to take advantage of unique flexibility, right? That comes with being an entrepreneur and doing what I do, and everything being digital. So, I mean, the fact that, nobody even knew I wasn't in Columbia. I could be doing this in California, right? I could be in Arizona. I could be in Texas. I could be in Florida. I could be in New York. You know what I mean? So as long as the show's rocking and the content is flowing, nobody's really going to know the difference. So anyways, though, guys, really appreciate y'all. And yeah, I'm in Greenville now. We got big plans and big dreams and big hopes and big expectations. Not even hopes. I won't say hopes. We got big things we are doing, right? We're not hoping to do it. We are doing it. I'm trying to remove the word hope from my vocabulary. But yeah, big things in the works, guys. 1 month away from opening day. Really looking forward to it. Also, tonight, of course, men's basketball taking on the Ole Miss Rebels at the CLA. And, I would say this, and I say this only half joking. I'm half serious when I say this. If you go to a men's basketball game and we lose by 40 or more points, you should get free tickets to the next game. I think that's only fair. I mean, you think about it. This team loses by 40 plus to Tennessee, beats Kentucky on the road, then turns right back around and loses by 40 plus to Texas A&M. I'm just saying, if you lose by 40 plus, you should get half off tickets to the next game. I think you should get free tickets to the next game. At minimum, half off. Like, if you're willing to sit through and endure that, kudos to you. Truly, kudos. Kudos. You deserve something. You deserve something from USC. A certificate for free Bojangles or a free donut somewhere. I don't know. A free coffee. Hell, I don't know. Something. Cade, Ole Miss is a 6.5-point favorite in the ball game tonight. 6.5-point favorite. So Rebels are favored. And also, just to give you an update, the Rebels are defeated in SEC play. Defeated. Yes, I said defeated. Let's see. Let's look at the standings. The SEC basketball standings. Here, let me see. Alabama, number 1. They're 5-0 in conference. A&M's actually 4-0 right behind them. So the Gamecocks right now, I mean, we're basically tied for 1, 2, 3, ninth, because there's a bunch of teams, or we're tied for ninth, and then there's Ole Miss down there. But anyways, we're 1-3 in conference play. LSU's 1-4. Arkansas is 1-4, and they're ranked, by the way. They've lost 3 in a row. Mississippi State's 1-4, and then Ole Miss is dead last at 0-5, and wouldn't you know it, they are favored by 6.5 to beat the Gamecocks. Ole Miss, same overall record as South Carolina at 8-9. Also, Ole Miss 0-3 on the road. So the Rebels are looking for their first road win in SEC play. So, and you know, guys, it's like I told you, right? I'm someone that, you know, I love Carolina basketball because I'm a Gamecock fan, but admittedly, like, I'm not like a diehard basketball dude by any means. Like, I practically don't watch any basketball outside of South Carolina basketball, right? But I don't know. I just continue to look at it like basketball is just it's in such an interesting place because, like, you know, I think this year is necessary, you know, when it comes to ripping the Band-Aid off of the Frank Martin era, right? It's necessary, but these growing pains are tough, man. These growing pains just suck. They do. They do, because it's really hard to invest yourself and to greatly care about a team that's losing by 40 points. I mean, it's not even competitive. Not even competitive, right? And the reality is just it's so grim, right? It is so brutal. The reality is so brutal. It's just tough to live with it game in, game out. So, you know, I don't know. We could talk storylines and, you know, this, that, whatever. And I mean, Deshaun Ruffin with an illness is out tonight for the game against South Carolina. Kermit Davis announcing averaging 8.6 points per game. He's out for the game. So that's a big loss for them. But here's what I want to say. The interest level in basketball is at an all-time low. I really believe that. I just don't think people, from my vantage point at least, like, I think people care, but because of this year being written off as well, it's year 0. You can't have expectations. You can't get mad when we lose, right? Because if you come down on Lamont Paris and you come down on this team, you're kind of an asshole because we know we're undermanned. We knew we weren't going to be good. We were picked dead last for a reason. But what that does effectively is when you take away all expectations, when you strip the program and the team of all expectations, apathy sets in. I mean, apathy sets in, you know? So and I hate to say that, you know, I'm going to give Lamont time. I think Lamont should get, unless it's like year 3, right? Or year 4, and we're still losing games by 40 points. Well, then I think you have to really reevaluate and say, what is Lamont Paris doing? But I think you got to give him time. I think you got to give him time. I mean, I really do. I think you got to give him at minimum 5 years to recruit, to find some players that, but it just, I think what's so crazy, guys, is like, and I know we play in the SEC, right? We don't play in the, you know, we don't play in a, we're not a mid-major, right? God, when's the last time I yawned on TTC? Basketball effect. You know, we don't play in a mid-major conference, whatever, but like, again, you look at a Charleston. How can a Charleston get that good of players to be as good as they are, but the University of South Carolina can't do it? Like, I mean, that's what's crazy. And again, you got to let Lamont recruit and everything else, but, you know, I don't know. Yeah, and then Travis, yeah, Clemson is undefeated. Clem Sucks is 7-0 in the ACC. How did we beat them is my question. How did we beat them? They got to be looking at us and saying, how did we lose to South Carolina? They are terrible. And Jeff Gullidge, yes, I saw the news of the Alabama basketball player. It's heartbreaking. It's terrible. It's terrible, dude. Terrible for all parties, man. Just things you things you hate to see, for sure. Things you hate to see. Yep, things that you hate to see. Oh, by the way, Gamecocks right now, net ranking is going into the games today. South Carolina is at 270. 270. Teams ahead of the Gamecocks include Winthrop, Coastal, Charleston Southern, Wofford, Furman, Clemson, and College of Charleston. And those are just South Carolina teams, of course. Again, guys, in case you missed it, d1baseball.com. They dropped their preseason top 25. Gamecocks sit at 23rd in the country, 23rd. So I'm pretty happy with that, to be honest with you. I'm pretty damn happy with that. Yep, pretty damn happy with that. Let's see. Anyways, John Edwards says, I'll be watching tonight because I have nothing else to watch. Love your honesty. Love your honesty. Let's see. Jay Diz says the first-year coach at ECU made our first-year coach look horrible when they played in Greenville. ECU was excited and coaching up his players. South Carolina just looked hungover and got ran off the court. Yeah, I was there, and I agree with you. It was really ugly. It was really ugly. Really, really ugly. Cade says, I wish 12-team playoffs came this next season in football. I feel like we'd have a good chance to make it with Rattler and Juice. Well, if we played like we did the last 2 games of the entire season, then yeah. I mean, I think we'd have to win at minimum 10 games, which, could be possible. Could be possible. I mean, my way too early predictions were 9-3, so I think it's definitely possible. Yeah, I think it's definitely possible. So, I don't know, though. Basketball is interesting. It's like I told you guys, right? Like my mindset and the way I continue to evolve as an entrepreneur and a content creator. And my mindset's definitely shifted on things in regards to, I used to feel like my obligation to my audience was to cover every sport intently and intensely and thoroughly. And while I still like to do that, obviously, right? I realize that that's not really my number one obligation to the audience anymore. My number one obligation to my audience is to provide the most thought-provoking, interesting, and entertaining content around the Gamecocks on the internet. So whether that means we're talking football every single day, right? 365 days a year, whether that means we're shifting the conversation to other sports, but that's where my obligation lies, right? It doesn't lie in force feeding. Well, we're gonna talk basketball because we play. If the people don't care, we're not gonna just spend time hammering it down when it doesn't need to be hammered down, when people don't want to hear it anyways. And I feel like that's kind of where we're at with basketball, man. I think basketball, listen, we all care. We're we bleed garnet and black, right? We pull for the Gamecock, so we want basketball, men's basketball specifically, to do well, but I don't blame anybody who's tuning out right now. I don't blame anyone who's saying, hey, Lamont, we believe in you. We're going to give you time. But in the meantime, while y'all are terrible, I may not watch every single game. I may not be quite as invested. And that's just unfortunately where we are. I mean, that's where we are, right? So, here's the thing, guys. I would say this. I believe in Lamont Paris because he's our guy. I'm not saying that Lamont Paris is the next Coach K. I don't think, I don't know. I mean, he coached well at Chattanooga, and that's it. So I guess maybe you try to run with that, and I hope it works out. I hope it does. I think it will. I'd love to see it work out, but I don't know. I don't know. So, it's unfortunate. Most people I talk to, they just say that basketball is kind of that thing that fills up time, right, between the end of football season and opening day. So that was even when Frank Martin was here. Craig Phillips says, do you think Dawn Staley could turn around the men's team? Number one, they would not take Dawn away from the women's program. Nor should they. Craig, I'll give it to you from this vantage point too. Number one, they shouldn't take away from the women's program what they do. That would be unfair. Number two, and you have to think about this, the PR nightmare that would cause, because what it would inevitably say is, it would say, okay, men's basketball is more important than women's basketball. So we're going to bring Dawn Staley over here to the men's side because it's more important. So what would that say about the women's game? Also, too, you could on the flip side say, oh, look how forward-thinking South Carolina is, promoting a woman to be their head coach. I mean, you could look at it that way too, I guess. You could look at it that way too. I think if Dawn Staley, if she takes a different job, though, I think it'll be like NBA. If she's trying to make a splash like that, I think it'll be NBA or something. But Lynn Turner makes the point too. I mean, it's a totally different game. I don't see that happening. I don't think you can sit here and say because of what Dawn Staley's built with the women that it would mean anything with the men. I really don't. I don't think you could do that. I don't think those things translate. Yeah. Brandon Kuhn says Ray Tanner was took away from the baseball program after taking us 3 straight College World Series finals. Brandon, no, he wasn't. I can tell you for 110% certainty, this isn't per sources. I mean, again, I've had Chad Holbrook on my show. No, Ray Tanner's situation was a situation where the idea of becoming an athletic director came into his mind. He wanted to be an AD, right? He knew his time in baseball was coming to an end, right? He knew his time on the diamond was about to cease. And after the 2012 season, he had won back-to-back national championships, taken South Carolina to 3 straight. And it was at that point where the opening came about and he wanted to transition from baseball to the AD role. So nobody forced Ray Tanner to do that. That was Ray Tanner wanted to. And on one hand, I get it. I mean, he had been South Carolina's – dude, you got to think about it. He had been South Carolina's head baseball coach from what, 1997 or 8 all the way to 2012. So, I mean, Ray Tanner accomplished everything. Right? Ray Tanner accomplished everything you could. I mean, there was nothing left that he did not accomplish on the diamond at Carolina. He went to Omaha. He won 2 national titles. He all the great wins, all the great seasons, all the great. What more? He was at the pinnacle. You know what I mean? And Coach Ford said we should have said no AD job for you, Ray Tanner. Well, Coach Ford, at that point, we didn't know. At that time, we didn't know. That felt like a good move. Right? Hey, bring in a legend. Sports are rolling. Football under Spurrier's crushing. We just hired, Staley and Martin were still sort of new, and then baseball was killing it. It was like, and Forrest Kumis, one of my good buddies, right? Forrest Kumis is a guy I know pretty well, and I've talked to before, and he told me, I asked him, I was like, did you guys ever expect what happened with the Holbrook era to have? He's like, no, we expected to keep winning because Holbrook was such a key piece of those national championship teams, right? Recruited those guys. Players loved Holbrook. Loved him. They still do. But players loved him. So, yeah, I mean, they expected to keep winning. And, I mean, they were good in 13. They were good in 13 and 14. They were really good. 16, they were good, but it just didn't work out. So, no, it was Coach Ford, what was good about it? He had 0 experience as an AD. I mean, Coach Ford, again, it's hindsight's 2020 now. At that moment, though, Coach Ford, I don't know if you were on social media in 2012, but I mean, you were obviously a Gamecock. I mean, did you balk at that decision? I don't think anybody really cared. I don't think anybody really had any worry about it because it was like, I mean, what does he really, what does an AD do? Like what decisions is Ray Tanner going to have to, I just don't think at that moment it was something fans really worried about. I think they looked at, okay, Ray Tanner Lifetime Achievement Award almost is what it was. I mean, I understand now we look at it hindsight 2020 and it's questionable, but you know, I think at that moment, I don't think anybody really balked at that decision. I mean, give Ray Tanner the keys to the city for what he did on the diamond. I think people just kind of said, okay, he can just take it and do what he wants with it. I don't know. Anyways.
Call from
Robbie Davis, Zaxby's Hall of Famer.
to accept.
Robbie, what's going on, my friend? How are you?
I'm doing all right. How are you doing?
I'm doing fantastic. Appreciate you asking. What's going on?
I feel like the reason Ray Tanner stopped coaching is for this reason, right? Just like you just said. What more was he supposed to do? He won 2 national titles back to back in baseball. He coached forever. So what more was he supposed to do? Just basically do the same thing over again? He wanted to do something different. So he decided to give the AD thing a chance. Do I think it was a good idea? No. But we don't have control over stuff like that as fans. It is what it is. And there is absolutely not a snowball's chance in hell that Don Staley is going to leave the girls' team to coach the boys. There's no way. No way, no how, not going to happen.
No, I don't see it either. No, absolutely not. I think it's something people just like to talk about, but no.
No. I mean, it is. I feel like you said, right? It's just something people want to talk about, and you can talk about it till you're blue in the face, but it's not going to happen.
Yeah. No, it's
So,
it's not. No, it's not.
And even though I can't believe I'm about to do this, I'm going to give you my prediction for the game tonight.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
All right, fire away. What you got?
I think we will lose 75-71. So I got Ole Miss winning 75-71.
Okay. I mean, that's fair. Ole Miss is a 6.5 point favorite, so. Robbie, do you watch every game? You do, I assume, correct?
I
said I would assume you do, correct? That you watch every game.
Oh yeah. Yeah. I'll be watching the game tonight for sure. I still think it's just insane that we went into Rupp Arena, Kentucky, and then lose by 40. Like, that doesn't make sense to me. You win it, you lose by 40. You beat Kentucky, then you lose by 40 again. That's what?
Yeah, you lost by 43 to Tennessee.
You lost by a combined 80.
Yeah, beat Kentucky and then lose by 41. Yeah.
Like, your definition of a roller coaster season yesterday, by the way, made me laugh. Okay. Mm-hmm. But we probably won't see it, but until I personally see a consistent good product on the floor, I couldn't pick us to win against Ole Miss. I couldn't do it.
Yeah. I mean, and you look at the schedule, man. I mean, you got winless in the conference, Ole Miss tonight. Then you got the 16th ranked Auburn Tigers on Saturday. Then you're at Florida, at Georgia, Mississippi State, Arkansas, at Mizzou, at Ole Miss, Vandy, at LSU, Bama, at Tennessee, at Mississippi State, and then Georgia at home to close out the season. I mean, if you don't beat Ole Miss, man, I already think probably 3 or 4 SEC wins is your best case. I really do. I just
don't know. And I think one of the things that hurts us isn't just the fact that we got guys that have never played together. It's just we got guys that are constantly getting into foul trouble.
Yeah, well, I think we got a lot of problems, my guy. I think we've got a talent issue. I think we've got my personal opinion. I think we're lacking. We're lacking in a lot of areas.
For sure.
So,
but I'm gonna go ahead and get off of here because I know it's almost time for you to go to a break. But you have a great rest of your day. Go Cox, and in every single sport, just because I hate them so much, screw you, Clemson. Okay. And I watched some of the Buccaneers game last night. I was pissed that the Buccaneers got beat because I hate the Cowboys. I hate the Cowboys. I'm a Steelers fan. It's like in my blood to hate the Cowboys. But anywho, have a great rest of your day, and I will talk to you tomorrow.
Robbie, you're the man. I appreciate it.
All right, buddy. Have a good one. Bye-bye.
Take care. Great stuff. Okay. Anyways, guys, appreciate Robbie Davis calling in. To Brendan M's delight, we're going to jump into one final break. On the other side, though, I want to continue to hear from you as we close out the show. More of your questions, comments, calls, and more. You're tuned in to the Daily Crow. All right, what's up, guys? We're back taking your questions, comments, calls, final 7 minutes or so here on the Daily Crow. Guys, in case you miss anything, head over to our podcast feed. Of course, the Spurs Up Show podcast feed. We drop the Daily Crow every single day at 3 o'clock, so you can go back and listen in podcast form. Again, that's in case you miss anything. You can check us out. And also, of course, you can go rewatch the show on YouTube, what have you. But if you're trying to listen on the go, the podcast is the way to go. And make sure you subscribe and rate the show as well. That's on iTunes, Spotify, Stitcher, Google Podcasts, etc. Wherever you get your podcasts, you can find us. Again, guys, thank you all so much for tuning in. Great start to the week. Really excited for the game tonight. And, of course, we are 1 month away from opening day. Our new merch dropped yesterday. The Beamer Rattler 2023 line has officially been released. Also, guys, I am working on right now re-releasing all of our baseball merchandise. So that will include Yardcocks baseball, Kiss the Rings, the Road to Omaha runs through Columbia, Win Anyway, redoing that, our Rowdy Roosters merch, all that good stuff. So really excited for that. We've also got new football merch dropping later in the week and early next week as well. So, hey, we're rocking. We're rolling, starting off 2023 in style. Justin Martin says, Chris, it's Justin. If Ray Tanner went to NC State, to be the AD is so hard for Ray Tanner at South Carolina. Well, I mean, I don't know when or why he would have went to NC State, but I know that he's an alum of there. So, you know, if they wanted him, could that happen or could that have happened? Sure. But it didn't. So it did not. So, I mean, anyways, let's see. Let's see. Again, guys, appreciate you all tuning in. Thank y'all so much for the continued love and support. Really excited for baseball to get here. I'll actually be heading to, here's a little side note. Here's a little spoiler for you all. I'll actually be heading to Atlanta on Saturday. The Braves are hosting a bit of a fan day or something like that. Me and a buddy are heading up there to hang out, smoke some stogies, enjoy the ATL, and just get out of the city and do something different. So anybody else heading to Braves fan day, right? Going to be a good time. I'm looking forward to it. Yeah, just really pumped for baseball, man, from the Braves to South Carolina to, you know, college baseball as a whole. Like that's how, if I had to describe, like, how much do I love baseball, I would just say this. I would say, like, basketball, I don't watch anybody else, right? Like, I'm not watching any other basketball. I don't watch NBA. I'm not watching any other college basketball. I'm only watching the Gamecocks. I will watch other college baseball. Like, I will 1,000% watch other college baseball. Love watching it. You know, when it's opening day, I'll have other games on, right? We'll play at 4 o'clock. I know there will probably be, I'm sure D1 baseball's got like a scoreboard or whatever. There'll be other teams playing, right? Let's see if they've updated their scoreboard. Let's see. Can we get to February 17th? Here we go. Okay, I don't think they've updated the scoreboard quite yet, but yeah, there'll be plenty of games. Going on, so we'll be keeping up with all of it, and yeah, counting down the seconds. You guys recall last year, right? We were out there by the grill, hanging out, grilling some brats, and enjoying a couple cold ones, and having us a good time. So really looking forward to it. Again, counting down the seconds to first pitch, and yeah, stay in tune to also what's going on with Gamecocks football, because Shane Beamer is a man that never sleeps. He never takes time off, and we love that about him. Let's see. Somebody asked how many days until softball. Softball begins their season February the 9th, Thursday, February the 9th, in the Charlotte Invitational. So they are in the Charlotte Invitational the 9th through the 12th. That weekend, their first home game is Wednesday, February the 15th. And they host that next weekend, the Carolina Classic, Thursday, February the 16th, all the way through Sunday, February the 19th. So that is the season. That's when it really gets going. Should be a lot of fun. So softball's fun to watch. Softball is actually fun to watch, I will say. I went to a softball game last year. I had a blast. Trip Cromer, when does women's basketball play LSU? That's sometime in February, I believe. Like mid-February, late February, something like that. So Slayer of Queens, Chase says, opening day is my anniversary. How about that? Love to see it. And you're on a cruise, correct, Chase? You're on a cruise, I believe. I think Chase is on a cruise during opening day. So, anyways, we're all looking forward to it. Going to be a good time. Yeah, really excited. We'll see what happens tonight. Again, you take on Ole Miss, a defeated basketball team, have not won a single game in conference play. You would think that would bode well for the Gamecocks. But, guys, I don't know. We're either going to win or we're going to lose by 40. So either way, that'll be a fun time. Guys, we've hit 2 o'clock. Thank you all so much. Appreciate you all tuning in. Again, stay tuned for all the content. We'll be covering the game tonight, watching everything. So, yeah, appreciate you all. Thank you all so much. Y'all have a great rest of your Tuesday, and we will talk to you all tomorrow.